What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Shells and Shadows. And today we're going to be talking about returning to nature. So I'm feeling pretty inspired. I just had a nice conversation with a friend here in the studio about the importance of leaving behind some of the restricting elements of our modern world, letting it go, shedding some layers, taking a leap, and going out into the woods, going out into the river, going out into the mountains. And this is something that I have discovered as a huge healing element in my life. I talked to someone the other week who runs a nature-based psychotherapy training program, and they said that in their training, they use nature as a co-therapist for healing. And I really liked that idea, and it resonated with me because many times I have been stuck in a state of sadness or despair or apathy towards life. Things may be going really well, and I can't feel it all too well because I just feel disconnected. Like I'm watching my life through a TV screen, everything's passing before me. And seriously, I'll go out and all it takes is a dip in the Boulder Creek, or a barefoot walk, as granola as that sounds, in the woods, just running around, being free in a way, not restricted by anything. I know taking your shoes off and going out into the woods and jumping into cold water might not be everyone's thing. But I feel like we separate ourselves a lot from nature, and it becomes an activity to say, I'm going to go out on a hike or I'm going to go out on a camping trip. And what I found is that when I see going outside and having some sort of outdoor activity as something that I have to schedule out in my calendar, I'm saying, well, during the weekday, I'm working and I have class or whatever, and this is my life. And then maybe another time I'll go out into the world and explore the creek or go on a hike. But something that has been super beneficial for my own mental health is finding ways to bring nature into my everyday life, where it doesn't seem so separate, where the lines aren't so blurred between me and the environment that I find myself in. What I've found over time is that we're not so separate, us and the nice view of the Flatirons. It's funny, you can live in Boulder and you can look out at the beautiful mountains and yet feel so separate and disconnected from them. A longing almost to be one with the trees and the rocks and the stars that we look up at and the birds, because there's a primal truth that they carry, that is embedded within us if we want to go out and seek it and find it. And that truth is that we are made of the same material and the same elements that the stars produced, that everything else is made up of. We are made up of the same molecules and atoms that everything around us is comprised of. And yet through this consciousness, this human experience that we have of self, our identity can be tied up in this is me, this is my body, this is my life. And I've limited the idea of self to this bubble I've put around this flesh and these bones, where, when you really ask yourself, well, why do I feel so disconnected from the mountains that are right in front of me? You find that those barriers are very much self-imposed, and that the idea of self is a lot more fluid than we paint it to be, because having and knowing that the self is contained to me in this moment, this conscious experience of human and body alone, is safe. It's very comfortable. It's very manageable. This is my human daily schedule and routine. This is my human body, and this is the extent of the experience of self. I did an interesting thing the other week, and I took the advice of a friend who I filmed a podcast for. And the whole premise of their business is taking elements of nature that are, I guess, naturally occurring in our world and bringing them into our enclosed human spaces. Living in a four-walled house and room isn't a natural state of being. When our ancestors would sleep, they would sleep outside under the stars. Yes, in maybe a structure or a shelter of sorts. But beyond that structure was the rest of the outdoor world. And even those shelters weren't as concrete, weren't as enclosed with hard lines and shapes like these walls that don't exist out in the world. Rocks and wood and branches and leaves aren't perfectly flat, aren't perfectly enclosing. There's room for air and light to come in. And so I started taking this advice, and I went out to Home Depot and I bought a bunch of plants. I filled my house with plants. And maybe this is some placebo effect. Maybe it's not. My hunch is that it's not. But I started feeling much better in my space. I started feeling like I don't need to be outside all the time. I can enjoy my space, but I brought in these elements of nature as just good reminders that I am cohabitating this space with some other form of life that can teach me things. And it's oddly enough, I mean, don't call me crazy, but oddly enough, feels like I've developed a relationship with these other living beings that are in my space. I have a snake plant by my front door, and its rigid lines and tall structure makes me feel like it's a guardian standing guard in front of my house, looking upon all those who enter. I have another sort of palm-like looking tree, very tall, next to the desk and to the chair where I sit and I journal. And the shape of it and the energy I feel from it is that of a sage or a wise being or something of deep intelligence, that I feel when I sit and I journal that I'm in the presence of an energy of a living thing that also embodies that idea of wisdom. And then I have these hanging plants, golden pothos, that are, one is in my room and one's in my living room. And to me, they symbolize this giving element of being in a room with a giving being. Their leaves overflow beyond the pot. And part of what they do as they grow is there's just this overflow. They're giving all of their leaves and all of the branches and vines that they have to the space. And as I've developed this relationship with these plants, yes, I have named them. Yes, I get made fun of for it by my girlfriend and my family, but I don't regret it. As I have developed this relationship with these plants, I've had a better, deeper understanding of what it means to feel like I am not separate from what is around me. Beyond just human connection, plants and nature and these elements of our world are teachers if we allow them to be. So I don't want to sit here and encourage you to go on more hikes and spend more time in the outdoors, because if you're interested in that, you'll do it. If not, you won't. I want to encourage you and myself to open our minds up beyond what is comfortable. And what's comfortable is, this is me, this is myself, and I know what my existence is all about and what it's confined to. I want to ask you to open your mind up to the possibility that my sense of self may be limited in a sense to this human experience, but it is connected. It is a root of the same plant that is the entirety of the universe as we know it. I am not so separate from all that is around me, and it is not so separate from me. Not only does this give one, an intellectual understanding of what the world is, but on a deep level, not just in the mind, but in the gut, there is this deep knowing that can come about from some of these ways of thinking that is comforting. It's very comforting knowing that there's a symbiotic, mutually beneficial relationship of growth with all that is around us. And I'm not just gonna talk the talk. I have far more ways that I can do a better job of incorporating this mindset and some of these practices of bringing nature into my life and the day to day. And I'll forget, and you'll forget, and once in a while we'll be reminded of who we truly are. And so when we have these moments of remembering, it's so important to not let them fizzle out, to take action on them, to really re-examine what we thought was normal. Because having the sheet pulled out from underneath us is sometimes not fun. Sometimes it comes to the suffering of life, but re-examining this sense of self and having it expand beyond our limited awareness is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And you know what? Life is too damn short to not stop and smell the roses. As cheap and as corny as it sounds, just stop once in a while and enjoy the beautiful parts of life, because it's all there is. And that experience that you have in those moments of connectivity, for that moment, is all that exists. So I wanted to come on and share some of these thoughts. I'm also looking for guests to come on the show, and I'm putting this offer out to anyone in the Boulder and Denver area. If you like what I just talked about, and if you like what I talked about on my channel, hit me up, send me a DM on Instagram, and let's find a time to talk, because I love having these conversations with like-minded people who only want to bring out some inner light in this world, face the shadows, and peel back the layers of the shells that conceal our highest self. So thank you for joining me.